Which of the following should the nurse conclude? Anong drug class po ang atropine sulfate? It's an anticholinergic drug. Anong sabi natin? Anticholinergics are sympathomimetics. That's why these are expected side effects of atropine sulfate. Kaya nga natin siya binigay to decrease your oral and pulmonary secretions. Tama? Tapos, yung elevated heart rate, side effect niya yan because sympathomimetic siya. What are the preoperative teachings? I think this is the last part ng pre-op phase. Mahaba talaga siya, guys. Kasi sabi ko nga, the bulk of nursing responsibilities would be or can be found here sa pre-op phase. Number 1, breathing exercise. Goal is to promote optimal lung expansion and resulting blood oxygenation after anesthesia. So we teach DBE, deep breathing with coughing exercise, and put a star yung splinting technique. So holding a pillow against the incision. Favorite na naman ito, guys. I-memorize nyo na yan, ha. Commit to memory. Splinting is very important after surgery to prevent what? Dehiscence. Wound dehiscence. Ano ibig sabihin ng wound dehiscence? Ano pong ibig sabihin ng wound dehiscence, guys? Mag-open ang wound. O sige. Okay? And then, of course, we promote the use of incentive spirometry. Mobility and active body movement. Okay, goal is to improve circulation, to prevent venous stasis, and promote optimal respiratory function. So, we promote frequent turning ng client ninyo, side to side, every 2 hours. Leg exercises as well. So, ano yung examples ng leg exercises? Ayan, put a star. Alternate dorsiflexion and plantar flexion of the feet, or what we call your calf pumping. Sige nga, itry nyo, guys. Alternate dorsiflexion. So, itaas nyo yung foot nyo. And then, plantar flexion is pag binababa siya. O, alternate. You feel ba na nagko-contract yung sa calf? Yes. Kaya nga, we call that calf pumping. And then, getting out of bed, turn to side. Ideally, no, we teach the clients to turn to side and push self with one hand as the legs swing out of bed. So, we teach them to use their hands as anchor or support para tulungan silang bumangon. And of course, we promote early ambulation if not contraindicated, ha? If not contraindicated. Promote early ambulation. And how can we promote that? You give the analgesics. Ganun siya lumalabas sa exam. You give the analgesics first before asking the client to ambulate. Kasi if they're in pain, more likely, di sila mag-comply sa'yo, guys. O cognitive coping strategies, goal is to relieve tension, overcome anxiety, to decrease fear, and to achieve relaxation. I need not to emphasize on this because these are self-explanatory o imagery. Ma'am, sir, imagine yourself na nasa beach. Okay. Patient concentrates on a pleasant experience or restful scene. Or, ma'am or sir, try nyo po i-recall yung last na family vacation ninyo. Something like that. Distraction. Patient thinks of an enjoyable story or recites a poem or song. Optimistic self-recitation. Patient recites optimistic thoughts. I know all will go well. Diba? All is well. Sabi sa wallpaper ko yan, guys. All is well. And also one of my favorite quotes when I was preparing for the boards, all is well. Okay? Sa mga magte-take ng boards dyan, kailangan po ng affirmation. Dapat kayo yung unang maniniwala sa sarili nyo. Kayang-kaya nyo yan, guys. Magtatap kayo. But you have to believe first that you can. And the music, listen to soothing music. Wag naman yung mga very loud, no? Music pa ba yan kung very loud? And then easy to administer, inexpensive, and non-invasive. Here, under physical preparation, the goal is to ensure adequate hydration and nutrition. And this I would like to emphasize, guys. Why? We have a misconception na when we speak of fasting, it's always 8 hours. That's our misconception. Tama? Guilty? When we speak of fasting, we think 8 hours. But according to the American Society of Anesthesiologists, in 2011, clear liquids are allowed up to 2 hours before elective surgery. Again, clear liquids allowed 2 hours before elective surgery. Kunwari, naiinom ang client mo. Breast milk allowed up to 4 hours before surgery. Why? Siyempre, may other components na yan. And breast milk can also contain fats. And fats take time to be digested. Light breakfast allowed up to 6 hours before surgery. Examples would be your tea, toast, formula, milk. And then heavier meal, yes, ito na po yung sinasabi natin na 8 hours fasting before surgery. Example, fried or fatty foods. Kasi if we try to arrange that, guys, ang pinakamabilis ma-digest, carbs, followed by protein, and then last ang fats. So, kung mahilig ka sa mga prinito, kaya pansin mo, bloated ka rin ng matagal. Matagal siyang bumaba kasi matagal po ma-break down yung molecules pag fats. Okay? So, we try to recall, pag clear liquids, ilang oras? Wait lang, antayin natin ayan, previous slide. Pag clear liquids, ilang oras? Try nga natin mag-recall, guys. Allowed up to how many hours before surgery? Yes, 2 hours. How about your light breakfast? Paano pag light breakfast? Yes, 6 hours. Kaya paano kapag breast milk? Paano kapag breast milk, guys? Yes, 4 hours. And then lastly, yung kapag heavy meals, yun na po yung 8 hours. Okay, now, dito tayo sa bowel prep, guys. Another highly testable topic. So, makinig. Elimination. In bowel preparation, our goal is to facilitate visualization of the surgical site and prevent intestinal trauma or contamination of the peritoneum by fecal material. Put a star, enemas are no longer routine. Only used in abdominal or pelvic surgery. Again, they are not routinely administered. Cleansing enema is given the evening before and possible repeated on the morning of surgery. The toilet or bedside commode rather than the bedpan, nakikita itong yung slides natin sa baba. Ayan. The toilet or bedside commode rather than the bedpan is used for evacuating the enema if the patient is hospitalized. Ano po yung bedside commode? Ito po. Look at the picture. Yan po ang bedside commode. Why not bedpan? Anyone? Bakit mas pinopromote to? I've seen several questions. So sa mga board takers dyan, guys, marami pong questions na ganun. Pinopromote ang bedside commode rather than the bedpan. Why? O sige, nurses, you try to imagine yourselves, you put yourselves sa shoes ng clients ninyo. Kunwari, ikaw yung nasa bed. Saan ka mas madadalian to move your bowels or to defecate? Pag nakahiga ka or pag nakaupo ka? O sabi ni Just Nothing, gravity XD, sabi niya. To facilitate easier evacuation of your bowels, guys, we promote the use of bedside commode rather than the bedpan. If kaya namang itolerate ng client ninyo. Kasi, the client would be all the more. Gagamit sila ng Valsalva maneuver, tapos ma-increase yung pressure, o pwede ma-increase ang intracranial at saka intraocular pressure kapag iri ng iri ang clients nyo, guys. Siyempre mas mahirap, itry mo na nakahiga, 'di ba? So, better na nakaupo sila. And antibiotics may be prescribed to reduce intestinal flora. Remember, meron po tayong mga normal flora or indigenous microbiota in the intestine. Kailangan sila for vitamin K synthesis. Familiar sa microbio? Diba? We call them indigenous microbiota. Now, this is how to use an enema safely. Yung mga students ko, tumatawa sila, guys. Tumatawa sila nung pinakita ko tong slide na to. What's wrong? Bahala kayo kung ano iniisip nyo. Okay? So, tumatawa sila nung pinakita ko yan. But, just to give you an idea, ganyan po yung itsura ng fleet enema. May nozzle siya, no? Tapos ini-insert yan sa rectum. And the position is to lie on their side. More likely, left side lying po. Okay? Left side lying. Why left side lying rather than right side lying? Pwede lang po ba right? So, right na lang. Parang mas trip ng client yung right. Why do we encourage left side lying or Sims position? Guys, you have to consider the direction and location of your sigmoid colon. Saan ba nag-e-end ang colon? Sa left lower quadrant or sa right lower quadrant? Left lower quadrant. Very good. Japigeti. Sabi niya, Japigeti. Left lower quadrant. Okay? So, dapat left side lying din ang client mo para to facilitate the entry ng enema, guys. Okay? So, ito rin ano yung tawag dyan? Binax ko na, guys. Okay? Yung madalas din na tinatanong, paano daw, while you are administering enema, your client suddenly complains of abdominal cramps. Nag-cramp yung tiyan ng client mo while you are administering enema. What will you do as a nurse? Anong sabi dyan? Lower the container or use the clamp to stop the flow for 30 seconds and then restart the flow at a slower rate. Bakit kaya? What caused the abdominal cramping? Yung masyadong mabilis na pinag-administer mo and yung greater force niya into the rectum. The higher, kasi, na hino-hold mo yung enema, guys, because of gravity, no? By virtue of gravity, more force ngayon sa rectum. Kaya, ang sagot doon, kapag suddenly nag-complain ang client of abdominal cramps, what will you do as a nurse? Lower the enema. Kasi, ang enema po, pwedeng ihang yan 12 to 18 inches. Okay? 12 to 18 inches. Now, kung naka-high enema ka, 18 inches, nag-cramp ang client, ibaba mo muna, pwedeng 12 inches. Okay? So, yun po. So, see, this is the configuration of your intestine. Kaya sabi natin kanina, left side lying, not right side lying. Okay? So, left side lying po. And we ask the client to remain lying down. 5 to 10 minutes for a cleansing enema or at least 30 minutes for a retention enema. Kasi po, pag pinaupo mo yan or pag ipinalakad mo ang client mo, kabibigay mo pa lang ng enema, ay inilabas na po niya agad yan. Remember, why are we administering enema? To cleanse the bowel. Paano ngayon, kung ka-i-insert mo lang, ka-administer mo, nilabas din agad. O di wala, di ba? Walang nangyari. So, you ask the client first to retain the enema by lying down. Again, for cleansing enema, 5 to 10 minutes hihigain. And then, kapag retention enema, 30 minutes pong papahigain. And then, for bladder preparation, catheterization, an indwelling Foley catheter or straight cat may be ordered to keep the bladder empty, especially for pelvic surgeries. And put a star. Bladder emptying. Ensure the bladder is emptied before administering pre-op medications if no catheter is used. Again, put a star. Dapat paihiin na ang client before ka magbigay ng pre-op meds. Okay? Kasi one of your pre-op meds ay alin po? Sedatives, tranquilizers. Paano kung groggy na yung client mo, inaantok na, tapos pinaihi mo, pinapunta mo sa CR na dulas, na bagok? What else? Paano kung na-induce na ang anesthesia, guys? Okay. Hindi na rin siya makaihi yan. Wala ang bladder tone. Okay? So, ayun po. Put a star, ha? That bladder is emptied before administering pre-op medications. Now, hygiene. Ano po ang ating hygienic measures? In terms of bathing or showering, it's recommended the evening or morning before surgery to reduce skin bacteria and risk of wound infection. Shampooing is included whenever possible, and then the nails are trimmed and free of polish for better assessment of circulation. Cosmetics are removed to ensure skin, nail beds, and lips are visible. Kasi kailangan mo later yan, guys, di ba? When checking for pallor, when checking for cyanosis, kasi higher ang vascular visibility sa lips. Okay? Kasi manipis lang po yung balat dyan. Higher ang vascular visibility. Kaya, nakikita mo agad kung pale siya, nakikita mo agad kung bluish siya. Surgical cap or your bouffant. They are worn to contain hair and microorganisms. Lalo na may dandruff yan, di ba? Kung may lisa ang client, sorry. Di ba kung may lisa, hulog pa yung mga eggs ng mga lice dyan. And then hair accessories, put a star. They are removed, no? Yung mga hairpins and clips to prevent pressure or damage. O, girls, di ba? Imagine mo, nakalimutan mong tanggalin yung clamp mo or yung pin mo, tas natulog ka. Masakit. Siyempre, tatama yun, di ba? Sa ulo mo. So, masakit. And clothing, personal clothing remove, client wears and operating room gown. Okay? So, kung hindi makita yung surgical cap, guys, sa bouffant, yun din po yun. Sleep. Ensure the client gets adequate sleep the night before surgery. So, sedatives like oral benzodiazepines or benzos. These are anxiolytics, guys. Pampakalma. May be administered several days before surgery to relieve anxiety and enhance rest. Self-explanatory naman siya. Dito, another highly testable one. Paano kapag may mga alahas ang client? Anong gagawin sa alahas nila? You send home with family or significant others if possible. If not, or no one would vouch or no one would want to receive the jewelries, no? Label and place in a locked storage area per agency policy. Yan, yung mga vault. No? Keep them in a vault or secured na place. And then, jewelry and body piercings, they are also removed to prevent injury or burns from electrical surgical units. Wedding bands, ideally, tatanggalin yan, guys. Ideally, ha? But, can be taped in place if removal is not preferred. Kunwari, ayaw na ng client mo, tanggalin yung wedding band or yung sing-sing niya. They can be taped in place. But, it's compulsory or mandatory to remove yung ring if there is a risk of finger swelling after surgery. Example, during arm surgery, cast application, or mastectomy or removal of your breast. That can cause kasi swelling of the ipsilateral na ipsilateral swelling of the arm, meaning same side. Kung left na breast yung naoperahan o yung left na arm din. Kasi meron tayong tinatawag na lymph edema. Ba? So, ayun po. Pwede mag-swell ang arm. O, syempre, pag nag-swell na yan at nakasuot ang sing-sing nurses, matanggal pa kaya niya yung sing-sing? Ito po yon, yung wedding band, wedding ring. Okay? So, ideally, it's removed. Kung ayaw, iti-tape in place. But, as I said, kailangan talaga siyang tanggalin in case na you anticipate magsuswell yung kamay ng clients. Still in preoperative teachings, your prostheses. So, all prostheses, like your artificial body parts, such as partial or complete dentures, postizo po, contact lenses, artificial eyes, artificial limbs, eyeglasses, wigs, false eyelashes, all of those have to be removed before surgery. Ang mga wig mo, guys, on false eyelashes, pwede sila mag-harbor ng mga microbes and dust. Sabi ko nga sa students ko, what for? Na mag-wig ka at mag-false eyelashes ka before surgery. Kanino ka nagpapaganda? Siguro crush nila yung surgeon or di kaya yung nurse. And then, hearing aids are often left in place and the OR personnel notified. So, again, pag tinanong, pwede ba ang hearing aids? Yes. Pwede po ang hearing aids as long as you notify the OR personnel. Dentures are stored in a locked area or labeled container depending on hospital policy. And remove chewing gum and check for loose teeth, especially in children, to prevent dislodgement and potential aspiration during anesthesia. Special orders. Now, let's talk about your anti-emboli stockings. The nurse checks the surgeon's order for special requirements. Example, the insertion of your NGT prior to surgery, the administration of medications like insulin, or the application of anti-embolic stockings. Now, let's focus dito sa anti-embolic stockings. Guys, kasi favorite din ito ilabas sa MS exams. Your anti-embolic stockings. O, hindi man ngayong NCM 112, but I guarantee at some point you will encounter questions here regarding anti-embolic stockings. Okay, so paano sila nag-work? They compress veins to improve venous blood return to the heart. They reduce the risk of deep venous thrombosis or deep vein thrombosis, DVT. However, put a star, a box. Okay? Kapag present na or sinususpect mo na ang DVT, wag mo na pong ipapasuot yung anti-embolic stockings or compression stockings. Ulitin ko, pag you are suspecting already DVT, wag mo nang ipapasuot yun. Kasi, pag pinasuot mo yan, all the more, you are promoting the dislodgement ng clot. Sir, ano ngayon kung ma-dislodge yung clot? Hindi ba mas maganda? Hindi, definitely. Pwedeng ma-stuck yun sa lungs, causing your pulmonary embolism. Pwede rin namang ma-stuck sa brain, causing your cerebrovascular accident or your stroke. So, mas gustuhin mo na lang magstay siya doon, no, as a thrombus and not as an embolus. Okay? So, wag pong ipapasuot yan kapag present na ang DVT. Yes, sir, paano mo masasabing may DVT na? Ang client. O pag nakita doon sa questions na positive for Homan sign, yung client, o you suspect DVT, ano pa, kung warm, tender, o mga ganun. Yung dinedescribe niya, yung legs ng client daw feel warm and tender, on pain, o pag tender, it's painful upon touch, o you suspect DVT. Huwag mo nang ipapasuot ang anti-embolic stockings. And the best time to wear the anti-embolic stockings ay before getting out from bed. O, pagkagising before bumangon. Bakit po? Kasi the moment bumangon ka na, all the fluids, o by virtue again of gravity, will start to pull sa baba. Okay? So before ka bumangon, isuot mo na yung anti-embolic stockings. Meron nga daw previous board question before about when is the ideal time daw to purchase yung shoes. Kailan daw ideally yung nagpa-purchase ng shoes? 'Di ba parang ang layo na sa nursing? Pero actually meron namang connect, guys. O kayo, ang options daw doon ay early morning, in the late in the afternoon, ganun daw. Ay, alam nila. These are my students pala. Late afternoon daw. Bakit? Bakit kaya? Kasi, okay, pag hapon na guys, more likely matagal ka nang nakatayo, nag-pull na again yung mga fluids dun, kaya your feet tend to get bigger toward the end of the day. Pansin nyo, pag pahapon na, laki na yung paa nyo guys, tapos dilated na rin yung mga vessels dyan. Kitang-kita yung mga ugat, no? Kasi matagal kang nakatayo. Sir, bakit din hapon ka bibili ng shoes? Kasi, at least, kung malaki yung paa mo, 'di ba? Accurate later yung size. Compared kung bumili ka ng umaga, maliit pa yung paa mo doon. Tapos, pwedeng mabili mong shoes smaller than the actual size na kailangan mo. 'Di ba? Comfy ka lang sa umaga. Mamaya, pag bumili ka ng umaga, comfy yung shoes mo sa umaga, tapos paghapon ang sikip na. Okay? So, ayun lang naman siguro yung ratio doon. And skin preparation, o red flag, o spot red flags when answering multiple choice types ng question, no? Ano ang red flag pag skin prep? Shaving. We do not recommend ang pag-shave. Hair is usually not removed unless it interferes with the incision site. If needed, use electric clippers to remove hair safely before surgery. Usang-uso na to ngayon sa Orange app, guys, your electric clippers. To ensure the correct site, that the surgical site is typically marked by the patient and the surgeon prior to the procedure. But again, red flag po ang shaving, ha? Iba yung shaving sa paggamit ng electric clippers. Ito kasi pag-shave creates micro cuts, mga hindi mo nakikita. not visible to the naked eye, microcuts, but these can serve as portal of entry ng microbes. Remember, sa skin, may normal flora yan. Our skin is not sterile. Kahit clean siya, it's never sterile. Okay, so preoperative teachings, when is marking particularly important? First, in cases involving laterality or multiple structures or levels. Meaning, pag laterality, meron sa left, meron sa right. Multiple structures, maramihan, hindi lang iisa. Example, finger, marami kang fingers, marami kang toes, marami kang skin lesion or moles din, and vertebra. Diba? May C1 o T1, S1 o mga ganun. May different levels ang vertebra. So you have to specify, you have to mark kung alin doon ang maooperahan. Next question, who should check the site to confirm that it has been marked by the surgeon and reconcile the mark with the information in the patient's records? Both the anesthetist and the nurse. And when is it done? Ideally, to the extent possible, while the patient is alert and awake, as the patient's involvement is important. Siyempre, yung client mo ang pagko-confirm kung yun talaga yung site na need operahan. Kasi we don't want to repeat instances before na mali yung naoperahan na site. Amputation pa naman. Pag tinanggal na yung limb, maibalik pa kaya, nurses? Definitely not. So we have to ensure na correct po yung site na maoperahan. So what are the guidelines? What are the guidelines in marking yung surgical site? Sabi, WHO guidelines, the mark should be unambiguous. Meaning, pag sinabi kasing ambiguous, guys, it has double meaning. Parang mixed signal. O sa language ninyo, no, nakabata, mixed signal. So, it has to be unambiguous, clearly visible, and usually made with a permanent marker so that it does not come off during site preparation. The type of mark can be determined locally, signing, initialing, or placing an arrow at the site, like this one, arrow. Okay, according to the WHO guidelines to, a cross or X should be avoided. Kasi nga, it can be misinterpreted to mean that the site is the one not to be operated on. Sabi natin, the mark should be unambiguous. Hindi dapat siya double meaning. Isa lang ibig niyang sabihin. So, arrow is preferable po. Okay, nagamitin natin. And hindi yung X. Now, in transporting the patient to the pre-surgical area, the patient is brought to the holding area 30 to 60 minutes before anesthesia. Who transports the client from the surgical unit to the operating room? It will be the surgical unit nurse. Yan, surgical unit nurse. From the operating room to the post-anesthesia care unit or your PACU, the anesthesiologist. And then from the PACU to the surgical unit ulit, kung saan nanggaling yung client mo, PACU nurse. Okay? So, if na-stress kayo dito, guys, may technique naman to memorize Kung saan siya nanggagaling, malamang siya yung magpa-facilitate ng transport. For example, surgical unit to the operating room is a surgical unit nurse. Diba? Alam naman si OR ang magdala. Wala pa siya doon. And then, operating room to the post-anesthesia care unit o sino bang nasa operating room? Si anesthesiologist. And then, from the post-anesthesia care unit back to the surgical unit, it will be the PACU nurse na. Okay. Question. Which statement by the client indicates that the preoperative teaching regarding gallbladder surgery has been effective? Okay. Seems like everyone got the correct answer. Galing nyo guys Okay. So, alin daw magsasabi dyan na effective ang pre-op teaching ni nurse? That's your letter D. The nurse showed me how to contract and relax my calf muscles. That's your calf pumping. Alternate dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. O why not letter A? Kasi, di ba, we debunk already the misconception na you cannot eat or drink anything after midnight. Kasi it depends on what you're planning to consume. Sabi natin, kung clear liquids yan, dun sa guidelines na present natin, pwede naman 2 hours before surgery. Kung breast milk, 4 hours. Light breakfast, 6 hours. Okay? I'm not going to cough after surgery because it might open my incision. Actually, we are promoting deep breathing and coughing exercise. Kaya nga po natin tinuturo ang splinting para hindi mag-dehis yung sugat. I might have a stroke if I stop taking my anticoagulant. Perhaps an exaggeration on this part, no, sa letter C. Another question, which of the following may be left in place when a client is sent in the operating room? Ano yung pwede sa mga yan? Wig, engagement ring, hearing aids, well-fitting dentures. Yes, tama, nurses. Future top-notchers natin. Hearing aids po. Okay? Yung engagement ring, ideally, papatanggal pa rin yan. Tama? Yes. And compulsory or mandatory, kailang tanggalin kapag at least for swelling ang arm ng client. And we said earlier, a post-op client who had abdominal surgery is holding a pillow against his abdomen during deep breathing and coughing exercises. What term does the nurse use to describe this technique? Yan po yung tinatawag nating splinting. Okay, to sum it up, for our visual learners, we have here a pre-op checklist sa mga natutuwa sa mga ganitong comics, no? So, check mo lang, no? Client teaching completed, consent form signed, NPO, in gown, allergy and ID bands on, sabi nga natin kanina, i-indicate sa wristband ng client kung meron siyang latex allergy. No jewelry or bands tape to prevent burns from equipment, voiding prior to transfer, more specifically before the administration of your pre-op meds. And then, nabigay na rin ba ang pre-op meds? Side rails up, sabi, after pre-op. Contact lens out, kasi bawal ang contact lens. Dentures, bridges, out din. Bawal din po ang mga yon. Nail polish removed. Okay, para ma-assess mo ang capillary refill time. Vitals within 2 hours. Anong sabi dyan? Naputol ata yung picture, guys. And pre-op lab work on check. Abnormal lab values, skin prep, history of aspirin, antidepressant, steroids, and other drugs that can affect surgical risk. Kanina na pinag-usapan natin. So, I think that wraps the pre-op phase. Yes, it took us ilang slides? 111 slides, guys. Wala na rin ako masyadong boses. 111 slides or 110 slides including my intro kanina. For your pre-op, intra-op is relatively a shorter one. Pero medyo mahaba pa din to. Can we have a break? See, I think I promise we'll be finishing until intra-op sa first day. Kasi kung ipagbubukas natin to, hindi natin matatapos. So ituloy natin mamaya, but let's have a short break lang. Allow me to drink my water kasi iba na yung boses ko. Tapos kayo rin, guys, mag-comment na lang kayo dyan. Mag-usap-usap muna kayo. Magtanungan kayo dyan or I don't know kung anong gagawin nyo dyan sa comment section. Kaya nyo na yan. Ay, na-imagine ko na bigla akong sumakses, sabi niya. Aww. Sana sumakses kayong lahat. O yung challenge natin, quiz 2, at least 40. Sana, kaya-kaya nyo yun, guys. Wait lang, inom lang din ako. Tuloy natin mamaya intra-op. Hi guys, I'm back. Pero wait lang. Anyway, mag-attendance check tayo. O state your year level and your school. Tingnan natin kung meron pa ring outside Tuguegarao. I mean, Harvard. Yes, may PNLE taker. Totoo? Mindanao State University, top 1 high loss. Kayang-kaya nyo na yan, manifesting. Wow, Nueva Vizcaya. Hello! Kailan yung punta ko doon last time? Malapit sa puso ko yung Nueva Vizcaya, guys, kasi I didn't expect grabe yung warmth na natanggap ko. Kasi they took the board exam here sa Tugue nung last November. Na-visit ko kasi sila yon, yung batch na yon. I could not recall exactly kung anong month, but na-visit ko sila and I also gave them tips. Tapos, surprisingly, they took the boards here in Tuguegarao kasi. So, a mini reunion lang sa SM Downtown. And they were screaming their hearts out nung nakita nila ako. Kaya nagulat kami nila Ibram, Ovi, nung nandun kami sa SM Downtown. Wala lang. So, I wish I could come back sa Nueva Vizcaya soon. Tignan natin. And malapit din siya sa heart ko because Solano is part of Nueva Vizcaya, right? Meron kaming RSPC before doon. And I think that made me qualify to the NSPC. So parang swerte ko ang Nueva Vizcaya. Kaya yun. Wow, meron tayo from UP? Meron tayo from UP? Manifesting, meron ulit mag-top dito sa mga viewers natin, guys. Okay. Meron last time na sumasagot siya sa mga ratio kasi nag-ratio din po tayo ng live minsan dito, Samplex, pag may time. And then, I saw that person na commenting talaga. Tas halos sabihin natin mga 9 or 8 out of 10 ng mga tinatanong ko. Talagang tama niya. And then, he made it to the top 10 last November 2024 PNLE. I'm not taking credit sa success niya, but medyo in a way, he caught my attention nung sumasagot siya dun sa mga Samplex nun. Kukuha niya talaga halos lahat. So, hopefully manifesting din na meron tayong mga top-notchers dito sa viewers natin ng live. Okay, so we resume with intraoperative nursing. Yes, kabatch ko po si Ma'am VV. Let's resume with our intraoperative nursing. In the name of fidelity and loyalty, we remain true to words. Kasi sabi ko dun sa invitation ko, no, we'll finish intra-op day 1. Okay, tapusin ang intra-op day 1. Beginning ng intra-op would be, sabi natin kanina, yung end ng pre-op, yun ang beginning ng intra-op. Client is transferred to the operating table and would end when the client is admitted to the post-anesthesia care unit or PACU, or in other hospitals, they call that the recovery room. Sige. So, nakuha na, screenshot na. O, yung beginning ng intra-op, yan kanina yung end ng pre-op. Tapos yung end niya, yan na naman later yung beginning ng post-op. See? Meron silang mga checkpoint lang. Overlapping. Now, we get to know the different members of the surgical team. Yes po, you're seeing it right. Kasama ang patient. Diba? What for yung other members kung wala yung patient o sinong operahan, di ba? So, kasama po si patient, then the circulating nurse, scrub nurse, surgeon, anesthesiologist, your certified registered nurse anesthetist, pangarap ko din, no, maging ganyan, and the registered nurse first assistant. Okay? So, we get to know their roles and responsibilities. Nursing responsibilities when transporting the patient to the operating room. These are self-explanatory, so I'll just read it to you, no? Number 1, adhere to the principle of maintaining the comfort and safety of the patient. Siyempre, ensure mo naman, guys, na pag i-transport mo yan, hindi siya malaglag. So, side rails up. Accompany OR attendants to the patient's bedside for introduction and proper identification. I forgot to mention earlier, yung consent must be placed sa bungad ng chart. Yun na rin later yung gagamitin nila for introduction and proper identification kasi andun din naman yun sa consent ng client. The number 3, assist in transferring the patient from bed to stretcher. Complete the chart and preoperative checklist. Later, we'll know this, yung WHO safety checklist. And then make sure that the patient arrives in the OR at the proper time. Maya magtaka si doc, ay, ba't wala pa yung client? Na late ang transport rather. What are the goals of your intraoperative phase? First is asepsis. So when we say asepsis, dapat sterile, free from harmful microorganisms. Practices include but not limited to strict hand washing and use of sterile gowns and gloves. Mga board takers natin lumabas po last time yung hand washing, May 2024. Malay nyo lang, bumalik ngayon. And sterilization of all surgical instruments, creating and maintaining a sterile field around the surgical site. We'll know more of this pag nandun na tayo sa principles of surgical asepsis. Now, here's a table differentiating medical from surgical asepsis. So, when we say medical asepsis, clean technique lang po yan. Surgical asepsis, sterile technique. Medical asepsis, controlled ang microorganisms or inhibit their growth. Pero dito, absence. So, zero talaga, eradicated. Basic hand hygiene is used for medical asepsis, while for surgical asepsis, surgical scrub is performed. Okay? And then dito, equipment, syempre clean, sterile. Clean, sterile. Ganun lang naman po yung pinagkaiba nila. Second would be your homeostasis. What's one word that comes into your mind kapag homeostasis? When we speak of homeostasis, what's one word that comes into your mind? That's your balance. Diba? Balance. So, maintaining a stable internal environment for the patient during surgery. Practices include, but not limited to, monitoring and regulating vital signs like your heart rate, blood pressure, temperature, maintaining fluid and electrolyte balance, and ensuring adequate oxygenation. Again, self-explanatory kasi VS, fluid and electrolyte, so INO, tapos OTUSAT. O, ganun lang naman po. More on monitoring lang yan. And then third, safe administration of anesthesia. Later on, we'll try to study the different types ng anesthesia and stages din niya. Okay, so crucial for patient comfort and safety. Practices include but not limited to the careful selection and administration of anesthetic agents, continuous monitoring of the patient's response to anesthesia, and maintaining a safe level of sedation or unconsciousness. And lastly, would be your hemostasis. So, kung kanina may homeostasis, meron din po tayong hemostasis. We're talking about blood here. Controlling bleeding during surgery. This is achieved through using surgical techniques to minimize blood loss, applying pressure to bleeding vessels, using cauterization or burning, or ligatures, meaning itali na lang yung blood vessels. Dugo ng dugo. And using medications to promote clotting. Okay? So, yun po yung 4 goals. Again, what are those? Asepsis, your homeostasis, safe administration of anesthesia, and your hemostasis. Now, we got to know the different members of the surgical team. First is your surgeon, the primary responsible for the preoperative medical history and physical assessment. The surgeon heads the surgical team and performs the operative procedure according to the needs of the patients. Kaya nga meron po tayong tinatawag na captain of the ship. Yung pinakamalalagot Although, of course, kung may negligence yung team, pwede lahat sila madamay. Pero ang primary responsible would be the surgeon because he or she is the captain of the ship, the primary decision maker regarding surgical technique to use during the procedure, and may assist with positioning and prepping the patient or may delegate this task to other members of the team. So, basta tandaan, captain of the ship. Next would be your registered nurse first assistant. So, since assistant po, handling tissue, providing exposure at the operative field, suturing, and maintaining homeostasis. Since yung homeostasis naman kanina na pag-usapan natin, more on vital signs, INO, oxygenation, tama po, yun naman yung mga ginagawa. And then for the anesthesiologist and certified registered nurse anesthetist, syempre to administer and select anesthesia, to intubate when necessary. Yes, sila po ang nag-i-intubate. Evaluate patient's VS, ECG, and autosat, no? To check the response to the anesthetic agent na isinaksak, to supervise patient's condition, and to transport from OR to PACU. Nasabi natin to kanina, kung ma-recall nyo pa, no? Who facilitates yung pag-transport or who accompanies the transport ng client from the OR to the PACU? Anesthesiologist. Hanapin nyo po sa options yun. And then we also have the circulating nurse and scrub nurse. This, I would like to credit Sir Joed. If you're watching, thank you so much, Sir Joed, one of the biggest contributors to my success in PNLE, one of my former lecturers before and still continues to be my lecturer now, and someone na I really look up to, Sir Joed. If you're watching, ito po ay with his consent na gamitin ko ang mnemonics niya para mapadali natin ang pag-differentiate ng role ni Sir Q at role ni scrub nurse. So we use the mnemonic circulators. First is cleanliness ng OR, inspects OR conditions. So yun din yun, no? Makakonect sila, cleanliness and OR condition, receives and rechecks informed consent kasi siya ang may hawak ng chart. Tama? So, kung siya ang may hawak ng chart, siya rin ang mag-endorse. O collaborate with the team. Kasi nga, circulating nurse. Siya yung pwedeng umikot-ikot. Understands procedure. Yes. Siyempre, lahat sila dapat. Lighting, temperature, and humidity. O what did you notice? Still, OR condition yan. Okay? Availability of equipment, materials, and medications. And of course, to make sure that they are functioning. Hindi sapat na andyan lang siya. Paano kung 1 second kinailangan yung equipment, hindi pala gumagana? Ay, lagot si circulating nurse. And put a star to send specimen to pathologic department. Siya ang mag-send. Kasi nga, circulating, siya ang pwedeng umikot, pumunta from one unit or one department to another. And put a star pag tinanong which of the following is the sole responsibility of the circulating nurse. Sole, S-O-L-E, meaning sa kanya lang. That is on-time documentation. Again, nurses, siya kasi ang may hawak ng chart. And your circulating nurse is not sterile. Okay? Andun lang siya sa gilid. So, siya ang pwedeng mag-document. Remember, fire safety is still under OR condition and sterility monitoring. Lahat naman sila have to observe the principles of surgical asepsis. However, the circulating nurse, sabi nga natin, since siya yung nasa labas ng sterile field, nakikita niya, she or he has a better view of every member. Kaya siya ang in charge of sterility monitoring. I-call out niya kapag may nag-breach or nag-break ng sterility. Okay? So, circulators. Again, pag tinanong ano yung sole or sa kanya lang, on-time documentation. And the gist, no, majority ng responsibilities niya, guys, ay maintenance ng OR itself. Yung condition, be it lighting, temperature, equipment, o lahat na. Basta yung condition ng OR. And then, when talking about scrub nurse, we have the mnemonic scrubs. Okay, scrubs. Siya ang nagsaset up ng sterile field. So, dyan pa lang, this alone, you know, na si scrub nurse ay sterile, si Sir Q ay hindi. Kasi, bakit hindi pwedeng mag-set up si CRQ ng sterile field kung in the first place siya ay unsterile. And then counting with circulating nurse. So this is a shared responsibility to ensure na accurate ang counts ng instruments, sponges, or gauze, ganun. Remember scrubbing principle, understand procedure, be prepared for sutures, ligatures, and sa pagpasa ng mga instruments. And put a star, specimen labeling. Anong pinagkaiba sa circulating? Si circulating ang nagsisend, si scrub ang nagle-label. Kasi inobtain mo yun from the client. Ay, sinong katabi ng client? Si scrub nurse. Si CRQ nasa lab na outside the sterile field po. Okay? So, who label specimen? Again, in-emphasize natin to kanina. Sino nagle-label? The scrub nurse. And then, pag tinanong who sends the specimen to the laboratory, that's the time isasagot ninyo si CRQ. O guys basta wag masyadong ma-stress sa roles and responsibilities nilang dalawa to. But you have to commit them to memory. Memorize. Ang gist lang naman nito, basta OR condition, CRQ yan. O mga procedures na nag-require ng paper, documentation, endorsement, CRQ yan, pag ganun. Kapag yung pagpapasa na ng instrument, pag-label ng specimen, scrub nurse yan. Pag set up ng sterile field, scrub nurse po yan. Okay? Sige. The surgical environment. Now, ito, again, commit to memory. Dito tayo magkakaalaman if you've been reading your books. Okay? This is lifted from your Brunner and Sudard. So, sino mga nagbasa doon? Honestly. No? For medical surgical nursing, kindly read your Brunner and Sudard po na book. Okay? To decrease the amount of bacteria in the air, standard OR ventilation provides 15 air exchanges per hour, and at least 3 of which are fresh air. Guys, when we say air exchanges, it's literally air exchange. Hayaan mo naman pumasok yung air galing sa labas, no? Palitan mo naman kasi, 'di ba, madalas mga Pinoy sabi nila suffocated na. Pag buong araw ka nagkulong sa kwarto mo. Okay? So, you are recycling the air na nandoon. So, once in a while, you open your windows naman. Parang ganun din siya, no? And then, sa room temperature, we keep it within 20 to 24 degrees Celsius. Now, comparing this to your room air, ano ba ang room temp natin? Malapit lang ba dito yung room temp? So, kung kayo, guys, 20 to 24 degrees Celsius, minsan nga, ganyan na yung setting ng aircon ninyo, di ba? Pag nakaano kayo, inverter na aircon, yung split type, yung pwede mong specify yung temp niya. So, malamig ba to or mainit? Why do you think, guys, na dapat within 20 to 24 hours, yan, nasasabog na naman, 20 to 24 degrees Celsius? Bakit kaya? What will happen if it's too cold? What will happen if it's too hot? Guys. Yes, possibly. To inhibit yung grow ng microorganisms. Also, to promote the comfort ng surgical team members. If it's too hot, you don't want yung sweat, di ba, to be dripping. Tsaka mapunta doon sa ma-promote pa mamaya ang pag-break ng sterility. If it's too hot, it will promote vasodilation. Tama? More risk for bleeding. If it's too hot also, madamage ang equipment. Okay? Sige. Pag humidity naman, ano bang ibig sabihin ng humidity? The presence of moisture in the air. So we keep it between 30% and 60%. Bakit kaya? If it's lower than 30%, o isulat nyo dyan, if it's lower than 30%, madamage ang mga OR equipment. has something to do with static electricity, guys. Okay? Decrease pag masyadong mababa sa 30%. Paano naman po pag masyadong mataas? Greater than 60%. That would promote the growth of microbes. Kasi gustong-gusto nilang mag-thrive sa moist environments, ang mga microbes, guys. So, kapag greater than 60% yan, mas gustong-gusto ng microorganisms. So, remember, okay, kapag air exchange, ilan? Sige nga, type nyo nga dyan, guys, without looking at your notes or your screenshots. Kapag air exchanges, ilan? Standard OR? 15. At least how many of which should be fresh air? Ilan dyan ang fresh air sa 15 na yan? Sige, mag-memorize tayo. Very good. How about your room temp? Yung OR temp pala, sorry. OR temp. Okay, 20 to 24 degrees Celsius. And ano yung isa? Humidity. Commit to memory, memorize. Memorize po lahat yan. Nasa Brunner and Sudarts yan, guys. Okay? Location. Central location po. Ideally, ang OR ay nasa gitna para ma-facilitate yung access to supporting services like pathology, x-ray, and laboratory. For example, may mga samples ka, di ba? Yung sa specimen mo. Para mabilis lang ma-examine, dapat nasa gitna ang OR. Okay? That's the reason why it has to be centrally located. Now, there are 3 surgical zones. Memorize na naman po ito. Yes po, kailangan i-memorize. Ang 3 surgical zones. First, unrestricted. When we say unrestricted, walang bawal. Unrestricted nga di ba? So, pwede ang street clothes. Kung paano ka pumasok sa duty, okay lang kasi unrestricted zone. But, once you enter the semi-restricted zone, kailangan magbihis ka na po into your scrub suit or scrub clothes and caps. Kung hindi makita ang cap, anong pwedeng makita? Sinabi ko na kanina. Kung hindi makita ang cap, ano ang possible na alternative term? Bouffant. Okay. And then for restricted zone, dagdagan, scrub clothes plus meron ka ng cap, dagdagan mo po ng shoe cover and ng mask. So, my advice sa mga students ko is to memorize them in sequence. So, kunwari papasok ka muna sa duty, street clothes kasi unrestricted. Then, pag mabibihis ka na, scrub suit plus cap. And then, once you proceed to the restricted zone, dagdagan mo lang yung scrub suit at yung cap ng mask at saka ng shoe cover. But take note, the shoe covers have to be disposable, not the reusable ones. Okay? Sige, memorize yung 3 zones na yan. Unrestricted, semi-restricted, and restricted. Now, dito tayo, guys. Okay. I took this table from Kosher still under sa chapter to ng asepsis. So, hindi siya kasali dun sa although it talks about yung OR, no? Pero nahiwalay kasi siya ng chapter. Kaya baka hindi nyo nahanap sa peri-op na discussion dun sa Kosher. But you have to understand this, guys. Okay? Sige. Principles and practices of surgical asepsis. Number 1 principle, all objects used in sterile field must be sterile. So, paano mo masabing sterile field yan kung may isang item na hindi sterile, di ba? All articles are sterilized appropriately, either by dry or moist heat or chemicals or radiation before use. Bottom line is, they have to be sterilized regardless of the method used. Always check a package containing a sterile object for intactness, dryness, and expiration date. Kasi kung may moist na yan sa loob, guys, baka na-breach po yung sterility, nabuksan yung package. And sterile articles can be stored for only a prescribed time. After that, they are considered unsterile. Notice that even your syringe, nurses, trinay nyo na ba? Sa PHN bag nyo, i-check nyo. Even your syringe, they have expiration date. So they can only be stored for a prescribed time. Beyond that, they are considered unsterile. Any package that appears already open, torn, punctured, or wet is considered unsterile. At sabi dyan, appears already open, torn, punctured, or wet is considered unsterile. Pag may nakita ka ng kahit maliit na butas yan, guys, suspect, unsterile na yun. Kaya sabi natin, when in doubt, throw it out. Okay? Storage area should be clean, dry, off the floor, and away from sinks. I guess this one is self-explanatory naman. And then there are actually chemical indicators, guys, na na-sterilize na yung gamit. Ano po yun? Sige, dito naman tayo sa na-underline. The indicator changes color during sterilization. Ano po yun? Tape. Okay? Merong tape na nag-change ang color niya pag na-sterilize na yung item. Now, kung wala yung tape, an alternative would be the word sterile. Okay? Nakamark na mismo sa package, sterile. Okay? Kung wala po yung tape. So, these are the indicators, or chemical indicators of sterilization. Next principle, sterile objects become unsterile when touched by unsterile objects. Kaya nga sabi natin, dapat sterile to sterile lang. Hindi pwede ang sterile to clean. Okay? Kahit clean pa yan, contaminated na yung sterile pag itinouch mo doon. Okay? So, handle sterile objects that will touch open wounds or enter body cavities only with sterile forceps or sterile glove hands. Discard or re-sterilize objects that come into contact with unsterile objects and put a star when the sterility of an object is questionable. Assume the article is unsterile. Sabi nga natin kanina, when in doubt, throw it out. Next, sterile objects that are out of sight or below the waist or table level are considered unsterile. Meaning, kung hindi mo nakikita, paano mo masabing sterile yan kung hindi mo nakikita? Tama? Yes. Babalik ka lang din dun sa when in doubt, throw it out eh. Okay? So, sterile objects that are out of sight or below the waist or table level are considered unsterile. Here, once left unattended, a sterile field is considered unsterile. Pag iniwan mo na. Kasi syempre, pag iniwan mo na, out of sight na yan. So, unsterile na siya. Diba? Sterile objects are always kept in view in connection with this one. And nurses, ito siguro, put a star. Nurses do not turn their backs on a sterile field. Magkakakonect na yan, guys. Diba? May mata ka ba sa likod mo? Wala. O kung tinalikuran mo na yun, wala na. Na-breach na yung sterility. And only the front part of a sterile gown, from shoulder to waist or table height, whichever is higher, and the cuff of the sleeves to 5 cm or 2 inches above the elbows are considered sterile. In-underline ko to kasi lumabas recently sa review ng ates and kuyas ninyo. So, 2 inches above the antecubital line or your elbows are considered sterile, guys. Ngayon, lugi ang maliliit dito sa part na shoulder to waist or table height, whichever is higher. Lugi ang mga hindi pinagpala sa height. Pati ako, hindi ako pinagpala sa height, guys eh. So, kung mas mataas yung table height kaysa dun sa waist mo, okay, unsterile na yung mga below the table. Okay? So, lugi ka kung hindi ka binayaan ng height. Always keep sterile glove hands in sight and above waist or table level. Touch only objects that are sterile. Now, advice ng tita ko sa akin nun, para lang hindi ka aligaga na kung saan-saan ka humahawak. Parang ano ka na lang, guys, you clasp your hands together, parang praying position. Kasi anyway, pag naka-sterile gloves ka naman na, pwede mo namang i-touch yung, both gloves may touch each other. So, parang nagpe-pray ka na lang. Kesa yung galaw ka ng galaw, tapos kung saan-saan mo mahawak mamaya yan, wala na. Ma-break na yung sterility ng gloves mo. And sterile drip tables in the operating room or elsewhere are considered sterile only at surface level. Next principle, sterile objects can become unsterile by prolonged exposure to airborne microorganisms. So, kung matagal na nakatiwangwang yan, guys, possibly, ma-breach na ang sterility niya. These naman are applications lang po ng principle na yan. So, I leave that to you for your reading. Okay? And to prevent microorganism from falling over a sterile field, to underline, refrain from reaching over a sterile field unless sterile gloves are worn, and refrain from moving unsterile objects over a sterile field. Wag yung nagko-cross kayo, guys. So, pwedeng side to side na lang mag-abutan. Wag yung nagko-cross kayo over a sterile field kasi that could compromise its sterility. Okay? So, tandaan po itong mga in-underline ha. Pag left unattended na yan, unsterile na. Sterile objects are always kept in view. Tapos, how many inches above elbows are considered sterile? 2 inches po. Tapos, refrain from reaching over a sterile field. And lastly, fluids flow in the direction of gravity, guys. That is why you hold your wet forceps with the tips below the handles. Or imagine yourselves, if you're holding a ball pen right now or a pencil, or try to imagine that as forceps. Pag hinawakan mo daw ang forceps, the tips must be below the handles. Why? Kasi the moment, guys, na, for example, yung wet forceps mo, merong soak na cotton yan, no? Tapos, pinahid mo na sa client. And then, itinaas mo, pwedeng mag-drip o tutulo papunta sa handles. And then later on, pag binaba mo na ulit, back and forth na yung direction ng fluids. So, para na lang maiwasan yun, no, na pupunta siya sa handle, tas back to the tip, hold the wet forceps with the tips below the handles. I hope you can imagine it. Use your ball pens or your pencils para mas ma-gets ninyo. And during a surgical hand wash, ito put a star, lumabas na naman recently, hold the hands higher than the elbows. Higher mortality ng students, they chose the option na keep it at a 45-degree angle. Sabi doon, hold the hands at a 45-degree angle. Pero, sabi ko nga, kahit naman 45-degree angle yan, yung between your forearm and your biceps, kung nakababa ang kamay mo, wala din. Imagine para kang naka-Naruto position, di ba? Parang Naruto. Naka 45-degree angle siya, pero nakababa. So, the safest answer would be to hold the hands higher than the elbows to prevent contaminants from the forearms from reaching the hands. Okay? And then, moisture that passes through a sterile object draws microorganisms from unsterile surfaces above or below to the sterile surface by capillary action. Put a star dito. Ito, tandaan nyo to, itong part na to. Sterile moisture-proof barriers are used beneath sterile objects. Liquids are frequently poured into containers on a sterile field. If they are spilled onto the sterile field, the barrier keeps the liquid from seeping beneath it. In Tagalog, guys, basta moisture-proof barrier yan, safe kahit pa mabuhos ang liquid, hindi compromise ang sterility. Basta, given it was a sterile, moisture-proof barrier. Okay? Yun po yung tatandaan ninyo. So, hindi mako-compromise ang sterility. What else? Ito, put a star. Commit to memory. The edges of a sterile field are considered unsterile. Okay? Ulitin ko. The edges of a sterile field are considered unsterile. O gaano po kakapal yung edge na tinutukoy dyan? 1 inch margin. At each edge of an open drape is considered unsterile because the edges are in contact with unsterile surfaces. So imagine a square. O kunwari na lang yung sterile drape mo is a square. Mag-imagine ka ng 1 inch, no? For each corner. O lahat po yun unsterile. So ngayon, anong relevance nun? Place all sterile objects more than 1 inch inside the edges. Siyempre, wag mo nang ilalagay doon sa dulo, di ba? Kasi sabi na nga natin, 1 inch margin is considered unsterile. And then any article that falls outside the edges of a sterile field is considered unsterile. You see, magkakakonect lang rin po sila. So you try to understand lang yung gist ng mga principles. It would be harder if you memorize all of this in isolation. Kung i-memorize nyo yan na maghihiwalay sila, ay talaga po, mahirap. Magbaltog ka na pag ganun, di ba? Magkulkulaidag ka na dyan sa floor. So, you try to connect them or relate them with one another. The skin cannot be sterilized and is unsterile. Kasabi nga natin, there is normal flora. There's normal microbiota living sa skin natin. So, kahit paanong hand washing mo dyan, hindi mo talaga maubos yun. So, we use sterile gloves or sterile forceps to handle sterile items. Okay? And then conscientiousness, alertness, and honesty are essential qualities in maintaining surgical asepsis. O sana lahat honest, no? Do not set up a sterile field ahead of time for future use. Why? O you try to relate it sa mga una nating napag-usapan kanina. Why can't we set up a sterile field ahead of time for future use? May nakita na akong ganitong tanong, guys. Ano daw yung mali? Ayan yung mali. Kasi sinet up niya ahead of time. Okay. One of the principles na pinag-usapan natin kanina, sterile objects can become unsterile by prolonged exposure to airborne microorganisms. So, kung nakatiwangwang siya. Also, sterile objects that are out of sight or once left unattended, unsterile na yan. Syempre guys, kung sinet up mo ahead of time, more likely iiwan mo yan. Diba? Tapos pag iniwan mo siya, ay, unsterile na po. Okay? So, here is our WHO, yan, surgical safety checklist. So, you see there are 3 phases. Up to you, my dear students, if you can memorize this. Syempre, better if you can. There are 3 phases. First will be before induction of anesthesia. Basically, may mga tinitignan lang naman po dyan. Tignan ninyo. Before induction of anesthesia, has the patient confirmed his or her identity, site, procedure, and consent? Is the site marked? Is the anesthesia machine and medication check complete? Pulse ox on the patient and functioning? Meron bang allergies? Difficult airway or aspiration risk? And risk of blood loss? Okay, those are the things that we look into before induction of anesthesia. Second, before skin incision, confirm all team members have introduced themselves by name and role, confirm the patient's name, procedure, and where the incision will be made. Has antibiotic prophylaxis been given within the last 60 minutes? For clients na at risk for infection ito, you see, pwedeng not applicable. Anticipated critical events, o to surgeon, to anesthetist, to nursing team, and is essential imaging displayed, o yes or not applicable. And then lastly, before patient leaves the operating room. Here, the nurse verbally confirms the name of the procedure, completion of instruments, punch and needle counts, specimen labeling. You read the specimen labels aloud, including patient name, and whether there are any equipment problems to be addressed. And to surgeon, anesthetist, and nurse, what are the key concerns for recovery and management of this patient? Again, bottom line, there are 3 phases, and for each phase, meron tayong mga tinitignan. Up to you if you can memorize this. Siyempre, better. Malay natin, di ba? So, memorize nyo guys kung kaya. Kaya nyo yan. Kaya nyo. You have to believe first that you can. Okay? So, basically, that's your surgical safety checklist. That's widely available on the internet actually, guys. Meron na rin mga different colors yan and versions. O baka mas makaka-memorize kayo kapag yung mga colorful na checklist yung titignan. The counting process, lumabas last time sa review namin, at least how many times daw dapat nagkakandak ng counts. Ano po yung counts dyan? Yung mga sponges, instruments, gauze, o at least how many times? Andyan na po sa screen ninyo ang sagot, 4. At least 4 times dapat mag-conduct ng count. First, syempre for baseline, di ba? Before the procedure starts. Para may basis ka later for comparison if magmamatch or coincide yung number na meron ka. Or before the procedure starts. Next, before closing a cavity within a cavity. Again, before closing a cavity within a cavity. For example, binuksan mo ito, intestine, or your intestines are situated inside the peritoneal cavity. Intestine, it's a hollow organ. Pwede kaya na maisuksok dyan sa loob ng intestine yung mga gauze and instrument? Yes, possible. Okay? So, before closing the intestine, mag-count ulit. And then third, before the first layer of wound closure, anong pinag-uusapan natin dito? Deep muscles and fascia. Okay? Again, deep muscles and fascia po. Before the first layer of wound closure. Kung makita man sa exam, muscles, fascia, yan din po yun. And lastly, at skin closure. Okay? Before niya i-close yung pinaka-last layer na ng skin. Sir, sabi mo kanina, at least 4 times. So, pwede po mag-exceed sa 4? Yes. Pwede mag-exceed sa 4 upon the request of the surgeon. Kung gusto niya mag-count ulit, okay, pwede, additional. Okay? Or kung meron silang mga dinadagdag na instruments in the middle of the procedure. So, count items allowed and ensure they are viewed during counting. O, wag mong sinasarili yung pagbibilang mo. Okay? Dapat naririnig ng lahat. And at the same time, pinapakita mo ano yung binibilang mo. And if a count cannot be performed, put a star. Take an x-ray before the patient leaves the operating room. Again, put a star. If the count cannot be performed, take an x-ray. Kasi at least sa x-ray, makita doon guys na may naiwan. Ano yung lumalabas sa exam kapag may na-violate daw? Sige, tignan natin kung may makasagot dito sa audience. Under what doctrine punishable yung surgical team kapag may naiwan na instrument or gauze sa client mo even without the direct proof of negligence? Pwede mo silang kasuhan. Under what doctrine? Wow, o sige, that's your res ipsa loquitur. Res ipsa loquitur, guys. Okay? The thing speaks for itself. Yun pong ibig sabihin niya. Andito sa comment. Okay? Hindi ko kasi maisulat eh. Pero andyan sa comment. Res ipsa loquitur. It means the thing speaks for itself. Kunwari, may naiwan na instrument dyan, hindi naman naglakad yung instrument papunta sa katawan ng client mo. Tama? Yes or no? Yes. So, yung instrument na naiwan doon speaks for itself. It means someone is negligent or someone was negligent to have left that inside your client's body. That's your res ipsa loquitur. In other cases din, yung kunwari hot compress, tapos nag-cause ka ng burn sa client mo, nakalimutan mo kasing balikan or tanggalin yung hot compress. Ngayon, nag-lead into burn. Now, yung burn itself would be the evidence that someone was negligent. Okay? Kahit hindi mo directly nakita yung nurse na naging negligent siya, the mere fact nagkaroon ng burn yung client, okay, someone is liable, parang ganon. Okay? So, that's your res ipsa loquitur. Sige. Types of anesthesia and sedation, your general anesthesia, as the word general implies, there's loss of all sensation and consciousness. Protective reflexes such as your cough and gag reflexes are lost. Sabi ko na yan kanina. So, regional as opposed to general. Kapag regional, there's temporary interruption of the transmission of nerve impulses to and from a specific area lang. Siyempre, regional po. So, only a region of the body. The client loses sensation in an area of the body but remains conscious. O, depende na lang po ito kung saan isinaksak. And then, topical or surface anesthesia. So, when we say topical, even in medications, it's applied directly to the skin and mucous membranes, open skin surfaces, wounds, and even burns. Local anesthesia, or we call that infiltration, that is injected into a specific area and is used for minor surgical procedures like suturing a small wound or performing a biopsy. Now, dito tayo, kasi ito yung madalas kong nakikita. Spinal anesthesia and subarachnoid block. Okay, makinig. O, pumipiyok na ako. Makinig, guys. Spinal anesthesia or your subarachnoid block. Anesthetic agent is injected into the subarachnoid space surrounding the spinal cord. Now, lumbar puncture is done at the level of L3 to L5. kung hindi man makita yung L3 to L5, between L2 and S1. Parehas lang yun. L3 to L5 or between L2 and S1. Bakit po dyan? Kasi the tail of the spinal cord can be found at the level of L2. So we don't want to puncture the spinal cord, guys. Okay? Ayaw natin matusok yun. Kaya, ang safe na injection site ay L3 to L5. What is the position of your clients when administering spinal anesthesia or even your epidural anesthesia? Put a star. Ilagay nyo na lang po sa notes ninyo your lateral recumbent with knees flex. Kung hindi na makita yung lateral recumbent with knees flex, pwede nga makita ninyo fetal position. Fetal, parang fetus. Kasi remember, ang mga fetus, naka-flex sila. So, kung hindi na lang makita ang fetal position, pwede naman ang knees drawn to the chest. Knees drawn to the chest. O, yun din po yun. Okay? So, epidural or peridural anesthesia is an injection of an anesthetic agent into the epidural space, the area inside the spinal column, but outside the dura mater. And lastly would be your conscious sedation. It would involve minimal depression lang po of the LOC such that the client retains the ability to maintain a patent airway and respond appropriately to commands. Now, we look into the different stages of anesthesia. Meron tayong 3, but yan pwedeng umabot sa 4 pag na-overdose ang client. First one would be your beginning anesthesia, guys. As the word implies, beginning, pasimula. Kung hindi man makita ang beginning anesthesia, yun din po yung loss of consciousness. Okay? Kasi may nakita akong question hindi beginning anesthesia yung ginamit, loss of consciousness. Okay? Clinical manifestations here, dizziness, feeling of detachment, ringing, roaring, or buzzing in the ears, conscious but with difficulty moving extremities kasi na-induce mo na pasimula na, no? So, medyo inaantok na siya. Then, exaggerated sounds, even minor noises can seem loud and unreal. Kaya nga sabi po natin dyan, may ringing, roaring, or buzzing in the ears. Now, na exaggerated ang sounds, syempre, ang nurses dapat avoid making unnecessary noises and movements to reduce agitation. Huwag yung magkikipag-chismisan. Okay? Kasi naririnig po lahat ng clients yun. Provide reassurance. O instead na chismis ang mga pinagsasabi mo dyan. No? Provide reassurance. You assume that the client can hear you. Okay? So, wag niyong binabash or binubuli yung clients ninyo, guys. Okay? Very wrong. O provide reassurance as the patient transitions into deeper anesthesia. Next would be the excitement stage. So, from the loss of consciousness to the time of loss of lead reflex. So, kung kanina loss of consciousness, palatandaan natin sa beginning anesthesia. Dito po sa excitement, ang palatandaan natin, loss of lead reflex. Possible behaviors would be, pag nakita nyo tong mga words na to, struggling, shouting, talking, singing, or crying. Pag nakita nyo yung words na yan, guys, more likely, nasa excitement stage ang client ninyo. So, I've put here already the terms na pwede nyong makita. Okay, struggling, shouting, talking, singing, or crying. What could cause this? The slow administration of anesthesia. Mabagal masyado yung pinag-administer mo, guys. What are the characteristics of your pupils? So, they are dilated but constrict in response to light. So, imagine, may pen light ka. Okay? Pag i-shine mo yun sa pupils ng client mo, dilated, but once the light hits your client's pupils, mag-constrict siya. So, responsive pa to light. Okay? Kahit dilated po. And then, rapid pulse rate and irregular respirations. From the word excite. So, excited. Sabihin mo na lang, excited yung client mo, kaya rapid ang pulse rate. And, take note, irregular respirations. Ay, memorize nyo yung mga to, guys, ha? Anyway, konti lang naman yung mga clue words na nandyan. So, what would be the nursing considerations? Quick and smooth administration ng anesthesia. Kasi pag masyadong mabagal, yan po yung pwede mag-cause ng mga ito. Okay, yung mga struggling, shouting, talking. Ensure the anesthesiologist or the certified registered nurse anesthetist has assistance for patient safety, and be prepared to help restrain the patient. Underline, restrain the patient. Pag kunwari, ayan struggling o shouting, restrain the patient. Or, apply cricoid pressure if necessary to prevent aspiration. So, just below the Adam's apple, mag-apply ka ng pressure dyan. Kapag parang mag-regurgitate na yung client mo, no? To prevent aspiration, apply cricoid pressure. Third would be the surgical anesthesia. O, ito yung gusto nating mangyari. Ito yung stage na gusto nating maabot ng client. Kaya surgical anesthesia, ranging from the loss of lead reflex to the loss of most reflexes. In here, you see, the patient is unconscious and still. Pupils are small and constrict to light. Regular respirations, normal pulse rate and volume, and slightly flush or pink skin, meaning okay ang perfusion ng clients. O notice, halos lahat ng green flags po andito. Okay? O masanay na kayo sa akin na pag nagtuturo po kasi ako, I like to use green flags, red flags para ma-spot. I'm teaching my students to spot mga words that could direct them. Okay. Tignan mo, pupils are small and constrict to light. Positive yan. A surgical anesthesia kasi yan yung gusto nating ma-achieve. Patient is unconscious and still. O hindi siya magalaw. Surgical anesthesia. And then, regular ang respirations, normal ang pulse rate, okay ang perfusion. Okay, surgical anesthesia. Green flag. Ano bang napansin nyo kanina sa excitement? Pupils are dilated but constricts to light. Diba? At least meron pa rin kayong red flag. Palatandaan lang to differentiate the two stages. So, nursing considerations here ay monitoring lang naman and maintaining your anesthesia at appropriate na depth. And adjust anesthesia as needed. Lastly, ito na, pag nasobrahan po ang anesthesia, we would proceed to medullary depression or your stage 4. Characterized by, all red flags already. All red flags. Shallow respiration, weak and ready pulse. Pupils are widely dilated but this time, do not constrict to light. Yun ang pinagkaiba nila sa excitement ha. Sa excitement, dilated but constricts or reactive to light. Medullary depression, it's as if patay na ang client. Di ba ganyan ang mga dead clients? Dilated, tapos do not constrict to light. And cyanosis, bluish discoloration of the skin. So, all red flags under your medullary depression. So, this stage indicates an overdose. Siyempre, kung overdose na, number 1 to do, discontinue. Okay? Same is true later on with your malignant hyperthermia. Pag meron lang nag-exhibit yung client mo ng signs of malignant hyperthermia, first thing pa rin is to discontinue the anesthetic agent that could have possibly triggered the event. Then provide respiratory and circulatory support, administer stimulants or narcotic antagonists if appropriate. Ano yung very popular na narcotic antagonist? Okay, the antidote for your narcotic overdose from the audience. Yes, your naloxone or your Narcan, depending on the cause. Okay, sige. Type a checkpoint question. Try to answer this one. The nurse is caring for a client who reports a headache following an epidural regional nerve block. Which of the following actions should the nurse take? What could have possibly happened here? Kapag your client is reporting headache after an epidural regional nerve block, possibly there is CSF leakage. Ang tinatawag na yan po ay spinal headache. Okay? Spinal headache po yun. Nagli-leak ang CSF out of the puncture site. Pag nagli-leak po ang CSF, it's as if it's creating or generating negative pressure. Sinasak niya. Okay? Hinuhugot niya rin yung a portion of your brain downwards. Kaya masakit. There's headache. Okay? Siyempre, hindi naman makababa. Ang brain mo, enclosed siya sa skull, guys. Okay? But it's as if being suctioned downward because of the CSF leakage. So, how do we counteract that? Place head of bed flat. Very good, nurses. Letter C po. Okay, now we move into the potential intraoperative complications. Meron din tayong mnemonic na intra. Still credits to Sir Joed for this mnemonic, no? Intravascular coagulation or disseminated intravascular coagulation. So, all throughout the body, there's abnormal clotting. And then eventually, pag na-deplete na ang clotting factors mo, bleeding naman ang mangyayari, guys. Okay. So, ganun yun na. Stage 1, there's clotting all throughout the body. Stage 2, there's bleeding na because na-deplete na yung clotting factors. Nausea and vomiting. Nasabi ko na to kanina. Post-operative nausea and vomiting because of your anesthesia. Thermal, pwedeng hypothermia and malignant hyperthermia. Either of the two. Pero we'll focus later sa malignant hyperthermia kasi it's a highly testable one. Respiratory depression, pag nasobrahan ng anesthesia. Or if merong drugs, downers, that had a synergistic effect or additive effect with your anesthesia. Anaphylaxis. Kung hindi mo na foresee meron palang latex allergy ang client or allergic pala siya dun sa dye. Okay. So, but now, let's talk about your malignant hyperthermia kasi nakikita ko lagi sa exam. Let's define first your malignant hyperthermia. It's a rare disorder characterized by hyperthermia, so fever, with rigidity of skeletal muscles that can result in death. Kaya siya pinag-aralan kasi it's an emergency case. It can lead to death pag hindi siya naagapan. What causes the rigidity of skeletal muscles here? Anyone? What electrolyte kaya na nare-release connected sa malignant hyperthermia, guys? Calcium. Very good, Mark. Your calcium. Okay? Masyadong mataas. Kaya continuous din ang contraction ng muscles niya. Kaya rigid. It's described as rigid. And see here, I underline. It occurs in susceptible people when they are exposed to certain anesthetic agents. Underline succinylcholine or anectin, especially when given with volatile inhalation agents, appears to be the primary trigger of the disorder. So memorize, commit to memory, succinylcholine or your anectin. Ano pang gusto nating emphasize dyan? The drug of choice is your dantrolene sodium. It's a muscle relaxant. Sabi dyan, no? The definitive treatment of MH or malignant hyperthermia is prompt administration of dantrolene or your dantrium. But guys, the first thing that you would do would still be to discontinue the anesthetic agent and hyperoxygenate the client. Okay? Yun pa rin, discontinue first. Tapos, ibigay mo na tong gamot. Baka lang magsama sila sa same option. What would be your first intervention or action is to discontinue the anesthetic agent. It's an autosomal dominant trait. So, kahit isang trait lang ang makuha mo, you could possibly have malignant hyperthermia when exposed to the triggers. So, it's hereditary. Yun lang naman ang bottom line niyan guys hereditary. So pag nakita nyo sa situation na yung grandmother daw niya before or yung grandfather niya or pwedeng parent niya nagkaroon ng fever nung inoperahan siya and almost died, I suspect malignant hyperthermia. And first sign pag tinanong, tachycardia greater than 150 beats per minute. Okay, ayan po. Galing sa Brunner and Sudarts. The initial symptoms of malignant hyperthermia are often cardiovascular, respiratory, abnormal, musculoskeletal activity. So, tachycardia, heart rate greater than 150 beats per minute may be an early sign. Okay? So, tandaan po ito. I already summarized it for you. Yung mga nakikita kong lumalabas. Okay. You try to answer, ito pala, tip ko sa mga nag-aaral, no? You try to answer as much questions as you can. Siguro yan yung mga regrets ko noon dahil hindi ako mahilig sumagot ng mga practice questions when I was in college. Sumasagot na lang ako nung nearing the board exam. No choice kailangan mo talaga i-practice yung sarili mo. But better siguro na kung nung college pa lang ay nakahiligan ko na sumagot ng mga samplex or mga sample exams. Why? When you answer sample questions, nag-gauge mo ano yung mga highly testable ones. Nakikita mo na ano yung paulit-ulit lumalabas sa tanong. O syempre, magtuon ka ng pansin doon. Law of vital few nga, tinatawag, di ba? Yung 20% ng efforts mo would yield 80% of the outcome. Okay? So, that's the beauty of answering sample questions. Now we move into the positioning. Last na to ng intra-op. Then we can all rest and sleep na kasi malapit na rin mag-midnight, guys. So, nursing management positioning, the most common is still supine as long as padded yung mga bony prominences para naman hindi mag-develop ng ulcer, pressure ulcer ang client mo. Okay, so padded ang mga bony prominences. The most common is your supine. Sabi nga natin kanina, kasi 'di ba, the clients can have spinal headache. Lalo na kapag nag-spinal anesthesia sila or epidural nerve block. So the most common is supine. And then we also review the different surgeries involved depending on the position. Now, guys, na lang to ha? Medyo expedite natin because these are self-explanatory. You have discussed this under Fundamentals of Nursing Practice and Health Assessment. Yung mga different positions. So, surgeries involved are abdominal, extremity, vascular, chest, neck, facial, ear, breast surgery. So, gist lang naman dyan, kung ano yung na-expose, more likely, kunwari, supine, kahiga ka. Alangan naman ang ooperahan yung nasa likod. Inadadaganan mo yung likod. So, more likely kung ano yung mga naka-expose dyan, yun yung ooperahan. Ganun po, ha? Next, your Trendelenburg position. So, ganito pang itsura ng Trendelenburg. Ito naman yung nasa baba. We call that modified Trendelenburg. So, only the lower limbs are elevated. Tapos, from your waist up to your head, straight lang siya. Okay? So, modified Trendelenburg na kasi yung nire-recommend ngayon, guys. Especially for shock. Okay? To improve venous return. Again, to improve venous return. Modified Trendelenburg. So, why not Trendelenburg, sir? Dinidiscourage na ito kasi it can increase your intracranial pressure. What else? The abdominal organs can compress the lungs. So, hindi siya makahinga ng mabuti. 'Di ba? Kasi, yan, kung ganyan ang position mo, more likely, pupush ng mga abdominal organs yung diaphragm in your lungs. So, surgeries involved here are the lower abdomen, pelvic organs. You see, kung ano yung tinataas mo, more likely yun yung organs na involved. Next, reverse Trendelenburg. Okay, so parang supine siya, but this time, the head is lower than the feet. Pero, you see, straight yung katawan na nakaano lang, the head is still relatively higher than the feet. Surgeries involved here are the upper abdominal, head, neck, and facial surgery. So, still, yung technique na sinabi ko nga po sa inyo kanina kung ano yung nakataas. Next, Fowler's position. Surgeries involved are otorhinology, so oto and rhino, so your ear and your nose, and then your neurosurgery. I will not discuss this na further kasi I am again presuming you know this sa funda and sa health assessment. And then dorsal lithotomy position. So may stirrups. Yan, stirrups. We call that stirrups. Surgeries involved are perineal, vaginal, rectal surgeries, or combined abdominal vaginal procedure. Guys, ba't mo pa i-expose yan? 'Di ba? Bakit mo pa yan i-expose kung ooperahan mo pala dito sa taas? 'Di ba? So, malamang kapag dorsal lithotomy, you suspect surgery around these areas. Yan na po. Perineal, vaginal, rectal, combined abdominal, and vaginal procedure. So, just have to make sure na not too high or not too low po yung stirrups na yan. And then your jackknife position. Ganyan ang itsura niya. Okay? So, rectal procedures, sigmoidoscopy and colonoscopy here. Positioning technique, table is flexed at center break. So, parang nasikmuraan yung client, parang binugbog, no, sa tiyan. O, ganun pa itsura ng jackknife position. So, since we are exposing this area, o yan, nakataas, rectal, sigmoidoscopy, o sigmoid, the terminal portion of your colon, and colonoscopy. And prone. Okay, so posterior surface of the body, spine, neck, buttocks, and lower extremities. Kasi siya na ngayon nakataas. So, kapag ganito, ang bed, pwedeng face down. Kasi may butas dyan. Face down siya. Pero kung walang butas, syempre, ipaside natin yung head ng client. And your lateral position. So, in here, the surgeries involved are your thoracic, kidney, spinal, hip, and abdominal surgery. Again, your thoracic, kidney, spinal, hip, and abdominal surgery. Your lateral or your side-lying position. So, if you want, no, further readings, credits, all credits go to Nurses Labs. Wala namang masama guys if you will read dito. Kasi ang ganda ng pictures nila. Kaya kayo yung nilagay ko pictures nila. Kasi cute. Okay? So, you can access this site. So, I guess that's the end ng intra-op, peri-op na ata to. Ay, post-op na rather. So, tomorrow, we'll resume with post-op and then a 100-item rationalization ng exam. On the spot na lang tayo mag-exam at ratio, guys. So, I hope to see you all tomorrow pa din. Because sometimes, I tell this to my students, yung examination, hindi lang siya assessment or evaluation of your learning. Continuation din siya ng learning. Okay? Feedback yun Diba? Kaya nga dapat, we train sagutin and then we learn. Paano siya sinagot? Bakit tayo tama? Bakit tayo mali? So, it's not just memorizing the answer, but understanding the rationale behind bakit yun yung sagot. So, tomorrow po natin yun itatry. Okay? Tapusin lang natin mabilisan yung post-op and then rational. Because sometimes, guys, nagbasa ka, you feel confident with what you have read, tapos pag nag-exam ka na, ay iba pala yung the way they appear in the exam. Yung concepts, andun pa din. Pero kung paano siya nilalaro, or iniikot-ikot sa exam, yun din tricky. So, So, I hope to see you guys tomorrow. Same time, 8 p.m. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. It's almost 12 midnight. Yes, 8 p.m. pa rin tayo, guys. So, yun. Thank you so much. Yeah, welcome. God bless. Review well. Again, yung challenge at least 40 in quiz 2. Sa mga magki-quiz, at least 40, guys. Kaya nyo yan? At least 40 out of 50. Trust yourselves first. More importantly, trust in the Lord. Okay, so I believe we all deserve to rest na, to sleep. Sir Henry, if you're watching, sorry, hindi ko po kayo napuntahan kanina. Nag-conflict ang schedule. All I thought kasi 19 ang labas namin. So, hindi ako nakasama. Sana hindi sila nagtatampo sa akin. Bawi na lang next live. Okay, so good night, guys. Bye. I will end the live na po. Thank you to our viewers.